everyone, this is Claire, and today if you're in the market looking for a launch in the next couple of months, this is a video that you should look out for, because in my previous video I also shared a little bit about where the hype is going, where are the buyers coming from, what are the shortfalls to look out for, and also some theories for you to be able to foolproof your investment so that you make the right choice, right? So today, just covering, we do not have the floor plans yet, but just covering the 5 launches. What do we know about the 5 launches? What are developer price strategies? What are my pricing estimate? And also what to kind of look out for in the next couple of 5 launches. And also lastly, at the last part of the video, I will also share what my recommendation is out of the 5 and where I think the opportunity lies. Okay, so let's get started. If you haven't watched my previous video on the shortfalls and also theories to understand, you can also hop over to watch that video first and then coming back to understand these 5 launches, the background, and some brief for you to see which one you are going to shortlist, and we'll also go and look at it. Okay, so I've also done this video previously when I look at the River Valley plots, because there are so many plots going on. You need to see what are the general patterns and what is a good product for you to buy. Right, so the first part of this video, I've also set some parameters on where I'm going to go, just zooming in on each project and what to look out for primarily, and also the pricing estimates. And then I will go through one by one all the different projects over here, and then lastly I will have a top choice option. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so some of the parameters, right, what I will be covering for each project will be in general what are the patterns, what are the features, and what are the prices that are really been accepted in the market versus what is going to be the estimated pricing. The developer price insights, so some of the developers that we already know, that have already launched projects previously, we kind of know things like what's their per floor jump like, whether do they have a significant premium floor jumps based on a certain level. They also have general pricing estimates that we can predict if it's going to be a low-rise development, high-rise development, the pricing strategies are different. And of course, from a developer point of view, they will need to be able to earn the kind of margin that they want. So for example, there will be developments that will be slightly higher rise, right? Then they pump up a lot on the higher floor levels because maybe they give you a better view, charge you a premium for it. Then the lower floor units will be much lower, definitely. And we can see that for 4 bedrooms, let's say for example for Ori, the difference is actually quite significant. It's almost from the lowest floor to the highest floor, it's almost 500k difference for a 4 bedroom. And that will determine your your exit plan, right? If you're entering at such a high price in terms of what has already been transacted at the lower floor versus what you're buying today, and if the gap is so big, it's going to be harder for you to exit. Okay, so just one example. Third point is layouts in general and demand for future buyers. I'll cover a little bit here and there. Then I will end off with a recommendation that I would ask you to kind of look out for. Okay, so this is an overview of what's going to be launching in the next couple of months. We have Sky at Holland, just beside One Holland Village. It's in District 10, the 600 over units, and it's developed by UOL, which is the same developer as Pine Tree Hill. So if you've seen Pine Tree Hill and you're looking in the RCR area and you've seen Pine Tree Hill, you kind of estimate that the furnitures and the design and all that will be about the same. Just cover it a little bit here, and then I'll zoom in on the project individually. Okay, so for Sky at Holland, the land price was sold at about 1,285, and it's going to be selling at about 2,008 per square foot on average. In the same RCR region in River Valley, has already transacted this kind of pricing, and for something that's relatively close to city as well, this one should be launching at this kind of pricing. The Zen at Upper Ketima is along the Souza Avenue near Verdue, where Verdue is. The price is actually one of the lowest at 841 per square foot PPR, and it's going to launch at about 2,000 per square foot, which is what has already been accepted in Verdue, for example. Zion Grand by CDL, same developer as Ori. The land bid price is 1,002, and it's going to sell at 2,007 per square foot, because I predict that they're going to be as competitive as Promenade Peak as well to be able to capture the buyers for 700 over units. Fourth one, Penwave at Queenstown. Okay, this is by Guaco Land on Hong Leong. The land bid price is 1,154, and I believe because they will be able to capture some upgraders crowd over there, the pricing is going to be the same as about Zion Grand's pricing as well. Favorite Residences is a low-rise development by Guaco Land as well. 399 units, almost 400 units over a decent land plot, and then it's kind of like a bit of a low density kind of project. Favorite Residences is sold at about 900 per square foot PPR, and it's going to sell about 2,000 per square foot, which I feel that is actually very reasonable. I'll cover a little bit more on the pricing later. So some of the theories that I want to cover a little bit, right, is understanding if your price is already accepted in the market, and if your price is accepted in the market, you know that somebody has already accepted that kind of pricing, and you entering at the same price would be safer than if you know that the price that's accepted in the market is about 800 per square foot lower. It's going to be a bit hard for you to absorb and for you to be able to exit with a good profit. And the second point is how is your price as compared to the others in the same development. Second point here is a layout of facing more superior than others. Like I mentioned in my previous video, there will be people willing to pay a little bit more premium for a better layout. And if your price gap between, for example, a 4-bedroom compact versus a 4-bedroom with a yard and WC and utility is about maybe 100k for maybe about a 50 square feet of space, space, I think it's worth it for you to be able to go for the bigger one, because you know that for future buyers coming in as a big family, they have helper, they will be able to have their storage space, utility for the helper as well. So you need to understand where the future buyer is coming from, which brings me to the third point, and what do they look out for, okay? And if there's something like that, comparing between a 4-bedroom compact and a 4-bedroom that has a little bit more space that can fit a helper, then focusing on that would be better than just entering a 4-bedroom blindly, not knowing where your future buyer is going to come from. And of course, the right timing. Why am I releasing this video is because I feel that 2025 will be quite a critical period for people, because with the recent land bids in 2025, we see for the launches that are happening, land that is sold this year, launches happening next year, we will see that actually Bayshore is going to likely launch at 2008 per square foot. Trump Park is going to likely launch at 2008 per square foot. Lakeside will hit the new benchmarks of 2005 per square foot as well, because the land bid prices are relatively high, higher than what we see today. That's already launching this year. So for them to be able to make a decent profit margin, they will still need to be able to sell at a certain pricing. Okay, so these are the predicted pricing. And why I think that 2025 will be the best time, because in this market today, even though the market is quite hot, the buyers are coming in to buy, developers are still quite wary in terms of the pricing that they set. So when developers are wary, I think that's good, and a good opportunity for buyers to come in. Of course, like I mentioned, the first point, your entry price needs to be right before you decide to come in and do something about it. Okay, so I'll cover the projects one by one. General thoughts, my layouts, pricing estimates, strategies and all that for you to look out for, especially if you're going to place interest for one of these projects and you want to identify what the patterns of the developer and where the pricing strategies are, you would be able to understand this a little bit better. Okay, so let's get started. Sky at Holland, this will be something you look out for, I feel, because this is a short walk for MRT, and there are people that will want to be able to live there because of the lifestyle and also be quite close to the city, right? I think if you drive from Holland Village all the way to Dempsey, it's going to take you like less than 5 minutes to reach over the flyover. So geographically, it's actually quite central, but yet you also have a mall beside you that has good enough amenities for you to get by. There's also a hawker center. I think in terms of facilities, it's actually quite good. They have 2 to 5 bedrooms and it's situated in District 10. Because it's UOL and Capital Land, I think we likely won't have any complaints on the layout. I think the layout should be quite decent. Of course, I hope that they pay a little bit more attention to the views that they can offer, because I've been to one Holland Village. There is a particular stack and facing that is directly facing the whole Holland GCB, and it's a beautiful view. You can see all the way to Bukit Timah Hill. And so I think this one, they will be able to offer some of the views on that side, but because it's an odd shape layout, the facilities might be a bit compromised. Okay, pricing estimate, I think will likely be able to match one Holland Village, because one Holland Village has already transacted on a sub-sale unit for a 3-bedroom at 3,781 per square foot. So coming in on average 2,009 per square foot, I think they will just be launching at 2007, 2008, 2009, which is what the remaining units at Pine Tree Hill and Nava Grove are already selling. So coming in nearer to MRT, closer to the city, I think this will be something to look up for as well. Okay, for UOL, I think what we noticed for Pine Tree Hill as well, they have quite significant price jumps, but also because for Pine Tree Hill there are certain views that you want to cross, right? From the forest view and all the way up to the top, you can see Bukit Timah Hill. There are views that you will be willing to pay a premium for, and I think for Sky Holland they will do the same thing. Per floor jump, I think not very significant, or it's only the premium floor jumps that can be 20-30k up that will be significant for you as a buyer coming in. So important to look out for that. For RCR and MRT effect, I think, yeah, considering that Pine Tree Hill and Nava Grove were already selling 2005 on average, the remaining units at Pine Tree Hill are already going at 2008, 2009 per square foot. So coming in Sky, maybe it's a little bit a better deal for you to hold on the Pine Tree Hill consideration, and also just look out for this because it's actually very, very close by. Second one is the Zen. Okay, this is at Upper Bukit Timah, 347 units. It's going to be a low-rise development as well. They have 1 to 4 bedrooms. I think in general, you got to go a little bit for the bigger units, because I think the 1 and 2 bedrooms will not perform that well. None of the blocks will be 1 km from Pei Hwa. It's also closer to Nature Park, not near MRT, no amenities as well. And I think that's also the reason why the land bid price is so low. For them to be selling at 2,000 per square foot is going to be something that may be a little bit challenging, especially for the smaller bedrooms. But for the bigger rooms, for people wanting to stay in the area, they already gotten their kids into the school, I think it's still quite a good environment to stay in. But because the developer, the layout and sizes, I think a little bit unknown. We don't know where they are going with the layouts for this one, but let's take a look. The layouts for the past projects that they've done, I think it's not super impressive like One Mayor's one. I think we will just wait for the layouts first before we kind of understand. And of course, for all these 5 projects, I will be doing a deep dive analysis that is going to be like 45 minutes to 1 hour long for each project, so that you kind of understand a little bit better for particular layout or particular budget that you're looking at, what should you go for. Okay, so I'm estimating to about 2,000 per square foot to match current resale and a neighbouring counterpart, but I would say maybe avoid the smaller bedroom types. And the value proposition, if you're looking at this 5 just to invest, I think the value proposition for this one is not that strong. But of course, if you're looking to just enter the market, have something safer at a good location, I think this one is still quite okay. Considering also that reserve residences has already transacted up to 2006, 2007 per square foot. Next time when they want to sell as an individual development, they will need to have set new benchmarks. When they set new benchmarks, the Zen should benefit, and of course along the whole Jurong area, people should benefit on the ripple effect from reserve residences eventually. Okay, so Zion Grand, this is going to have decent schools around River Valley and Alexandra Primary. The price acceptance is already proven by Promenade Peak and River Green, where we know that there were quite a lot of interest going in there, and there are a decent number of units that have already been sold over there. So I think pricing estimates, they will stay competitive. They will be launching the units about the same as what Promenade Peak has came out to on the starting from price. Okay, so this is going to be matching what the current new launch and neighbouring counterpart, but at the same time, because it's 2 towers high, the land plot is slightly bigger. There's going to be a service apartment component there and also a commercial component over there. I think there is value looking in this development because 1, good size development, 2, there will be decent facilities I think we can look forward to. The service apartment and the commercial shops should help benefit the residents as well. And lastly, there is going to be fully sheltered MRT walkway to Havelock MRT. So CDL, I think a little bit straightforward. They do have some premium floor jumps, but on a per floor jump level, I think it's very, very reasonable. And considering what they've done with Ori and also with this, we will need to be very careful and note that for the low floor to the high floor, it's going to be quite significant. It's going to be 500k kind of difference. You're looking at 3 to 4 bedrooms. So you need to be able to know and discern and when to cut off so that you know that you're kind of getting a best deal from investment point of view. Okay, so Penrith at Queenstown, I would say they will have and likely to have some priority for owners, ex-owners and also tenants of certain projects that Guaco has already built. So I wouldn't have any doubts about the layouts. I think the layouts will be efficient, and that will be one thing that draw most crowds in, because for the Penrith area, I think Queenstown people, they are mostly the HDB upgraders coming from Tiong Bahru, Queenstown, Dawson, the Strathmore area as well. So people will be looking more for family profiles, I would think, and for Penrith will be, I think, something that will draw some crowds in. But we also need to be very careful of the pricing. So if today Penrith is going to sell at the same price as Zion Grand, I feel that Zion Grand will be a better choice. And also in general, D3 projects, and there's a reason for it, D3 projects do not perform as well as some of the other OCR region projects, even though Queenstown is in such a very central location. But let me cover this a little bit first. Go not significant per floor jumps, but it's okay to go higher to a certain extent. And understanding this is a high-rise development as well, I think we need to know that the choice needs to be very clear and where to cut off as well. So here's my another slide on D3 projects, right? If you look at Queen's Peak, Commonwealth Towers and Margaret View, they're all just kind of surrounding Penrith, and you won't understand how it's performed over the couple of years, right? When I was studying maybe about 2017, this period of time, right, I also saw that actually the prices have stagnated, even though some of the projects in the other regions have already increased, okay? But during COVID, of course, most of the properties, 90% of them will have increased to a certain amount, okay? But now it's also stagnated a little bit. And there are a couple of reasons why. I think for Queen's Peak, right, the layout was the downfall. So for any 3 bedrooms onwards, even if however compact it is, the common rooms can only fit a single size bed. So for some of them, it's a little bit of a turn off because I want to be able to fit family, my kids in. I want to have a queen size bed for maybe like my family members and all that. So it's harder for them to be able to fit a family in. So for Queen's Peak, I feel that the downfall is really that. For Commonwealth Towers, I think the size and the quantum plays a part as well. So they have the 2 bedrooms, decent size. The 3 bedrooms, they have the 1055 ones, but right now, if you're looking about the price, 3 bedroom there is easily about 2.8 to 2.9 million for 1055 square feet. So we will expect that Penrith will sell at that kind of pricing for their normal 3 bedroom that has a utility and yard as well. So they will at least match the prices over there. And if today the pricing is going to be as high as 3.2 million, then I would think Zion Grand will be a better choice to wait for. Margaret View, I think the land plot is very, very small, smaller than what Penrith can offer. So in terms of facilities, they're not that welcoming. In terms of the performance that you see on the yellow line, right, it's also a little bit fluctuating over on this side really, like a lot of other projects also since 2024. Lastly, Faber Residences, I think this is something to look out for really purely because of the pricing. Faber Residences is 1 km from Nan Hua Primary. Not a lot of projects that are within 1 km from Nan Hua Primary, and maybe relatively walking distance. I think in this case, the price point will be key, but it really sounds very, very safe at this point, because if you just cross to another exit of the expressway, you see Alta, right, that has already high floor units that are transacting at 2008 per square foot, okay? Guaco Land, I'm quite certain their layouts will be quite efficient. For them to be able to make some decent profit margin, I think 2000 per square foot would be good. Higher floor units hitting 2002 to 2003 per square foot, I think still very, very decent. It's only 5 floors if looking at this picture, so we wouldn't expect that much price differences. I think there will be units that will be facing the expressway directly, so best to avoid those. Of course, that one will be priced the cheapest as well. It's also Guaco Land. So Guaco Land will be launching 2 products, Penrith and Faber, on the same weekend as well. So if you likely will be going to these two, and considering that they're quite close to each other as well. So things to look out for: 2008 per square foot has been accepted in the area for Alta with no 1 km from Nanhua. There are not a lot of projects that are 1 km from Nanhua, and past projects along this area has also performed quite well. And also in terms of the Jurong region line, in terms of the Clementi area, there is going to be Cross Island line, Jurong region line, that's going to increase the connectivity over on the area. So I think there will be still more transformation, and also considering that the West Siders also looking at Nanhua and to be able to move near Nanhua, I think this one, if you can enter at 2,000 plus per square foot, I think it's very, very safe. So we look at Whistler Grand, Park Rivera and Twin View, right? Today the price that has already been accepted at Whistler Grand is about 2,000 per square foot. Okay, Park Rivera, because it launched a little bit much earlier in 2016, 2017, now the highest per square foot is 1,008. And for Twin View, just side by side with Whistler Grand, it's already been done at 1,009 per square foot. If Faber residences come in at 2,000 or starting from 2,000 per square foot, I think it's a no-brainer. It should be quite safe to go in. So let me cover a little bit on shortfalls, right? What are the shortfalls into buying the new development today, and what you kind of need to look out for? Okay, so like I mentioned, Springleaf residences had about 1,900 over checks interest, but of course not everyone got a unit. Maybe the queue number was not so good, the unit type that you're looking at is not available anymore, and then people kind of had to drop out, right? So the pressure there and going into the queue and having to choose something that is not the best choice unit for you can be extremely pressurizing. So before you kind of step into it, and you need to kind of know your objective, right? Today, if you're buying for own stay, you may be able to accept something of a higher floor that's of a higher quantum, for example. That's okay. Okay, but today if you're going in purely for investment point of view, you need to understand that your entry price is very important. Okay, if today you're going for a rental especially, okay, you need to know that that area will give you a good kind of rental demand coming in. You don't have to worry about tenant pool, and it's going to come at a good price and also quick in terms of considering the downtime that you may have to take before the next tenant comes in. Like for example, if you're looking at capital appreciation, then yes, of course, lower floors or having a good entry price would be the safest for you as compared to other neighboring counterparts in the area. So why has Springleaf performed so well is also because we do notice that there is a gap between Springleaf residences and also Lentor Central residences, or the Lentor area as a whole. The pricing that we have at Springleaf residences at average on 2,175 per square foot is already a 200 per square foot gap from what was the highest transacted at Lentor Mansion and also Lentor Central. Okay, and that's why people are kind of realizing that gap, even though location is a little bit different, just one stop away, but people are realizing that there is an opportunity, because once you enter at a low entry price, it's safer for you in terms of bearing the risk, because when you buy low, you can sell at a certain pricing, but for people buying high, they will need to exit, have a longer range of exit, and also will need to wait a bit longer. Okay, so the second point I want to highlight is buying the top floor units, and especially high-rise ones, where from the bottom floor to the top floor, you realize that the price is actually very, very significant. The price difference is actually very significant. So in this kind of cases, the exit plan is a little bit unclear. Okay, so we split this up into two. This is the same elevation chart for the same stack over here. 4-bedroom at Ori. The second floor unit actually was at 2.92 million. Okay, at 2,004 per square foot. But if you look at the highest floor unit, it's actually at 3.472. Okay, so between this one and this one, we see that the gap is $552,000. Okay, for the person who entered at 2.9 or 2.95, right, in this case as well, 2.95, I will be able to maybe safely exit at 3.3 to 3.35 to 3.4. But for the person who bought at almost 3.5 million, it's harder to exit at 3.8, because there's also kind of a range of price acceptance in the area, right? They might go for mid-floor ones and they're willing to pay about 3.4 for it. But for you to buy at 3.42 and exit at 4 million is actually going to take some time. And more importantly, the price is not accepted in the area as well. So buying the top floor units, the exit plan is going to be a longer range for you. But of course, if you're buying for own stay, then I think it's okay. It's more for like your enjoyment and all that, and you're going to stay there for long. So the time that you're staying there, to let the prices move upward so that you can exit at a safer price in future. So this point, next shortfall is choosing a layout or facing that's a bit less superior, right? When you choose a layout that is a little bit less superior, one is harder to offload, because people will be willing to pay more for a better layout, which we can see in multiple properties today over the whole COVID period, and I can name some examples as well. But at the same time, you need to make sure that the price makes sense. Okay, so let me give you an example. This is River Green that also launched about 2 weeks back. Okay, they have 3 bedrooms that are 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so the only difference here is A couple of differences. This one is a West Side unit and this one is East Side unit. So of course, if you're looking at 3 bedrooms and maybe you have a little bit more budget, you would want to maybe take the one that has the East Side instead of the West Side, because the West Side comes direct into your unit. But if you look at the pricing at that point of time when they launch, right, on the first day, the 786, right, has the third bedroom can only fit single bed. Right, but the other two sizes over here can both fit king size bed. So in this case, if we're comparing something like that, this one can fit queen size bed, this one can fit queen size bed as well. One is a West Side unit, which is over on this side, okay, and the other one is over on this side, which is a non-West Side unit, and both are of the same price, right? If obviously looking at this kind of sizing difference and also non-West Side and West Side, you will obviously pick this one. Okay, it will be a safer choice at the point of time. But of course, you need to be able to compare and understand and just pull out the elevation chart and really study it when you're in the queue to see actually what makes sense, and be willing to go a bit lower in terms of the floor level to make sure that the price is safer for you, because one, choosing the right layout and also the facing is going to help you in terms of exiting in the future. Okay, because people are actually standing in the unit and wanting to buy it, right? And they will be able to see that it's a West Side unit, it will be hot in the day, that kind of thing, right? So another example is, this one is the one that has the smaller bedroom. Okay, it's a West Side unit at 2.6 million, but the non-West Side unit is going at about 2.8 million, right? Like I mentioned to you earlier in the previous example, but they're both on the same floor, for example. Okay, you need to decide between this and this for 200k difference, which one is more worth it to go for. Okay, I would say for 200k difference and the sizing difference, it makes sense for you to go for the non-West Side unit. But if today the gap is like 500k, right, which there were units selling at 500k difference in terms of these two layout types, right, then the clear choice is still to go for this one. Because as the market goes up and the market moves as it goes along, your value of the property will not drop significantly just because of the facing and the room, but because you entered at such a low entry price at 2.3 million when people have already transacted 2.8 to 2.9, and now today this layout type, there are some units on the highest floor that are going at about 3 already. Right, so you entering at 2.6 for a 3 bedroom at River Green is still pretty safe. Okay, so that's something that you hope can easily take away, so that when you happen to be in a queue, next coming new launches, or if you are studying them as well, these are some things to look out for, because you only know the pricing on the day of the balloting itself. It's a little bit more stressful for you to understand. So if today you are looking at one of the upcoming launches in the next quarter or so, and you need help to kind of study into it and understand what is a safe buy and what is going to serve your objective, you can feel free to reach out to me and I can help you understand a little bit on your objective before I advise further. But if not, I hope this video helps you to gain some clarity on where to go and in terms of pricing, where do you cut off. Okay, the other one is not looking at the price gap between the unit types. Okay, so this is one of the shortfalls people miss out sometimes, right? Today, for example, if I'm talking about Ori, there is a 2+ study and a 3 bed, for example. Okay, and this pricing over here is the same pricing as this pricing over here. How do you decide and how do you identify it that, for example, today I just want to look at 2+ study initially, okay? Because of my queue number, the units have already taken up all the way to a certain level, such that at that pricing that if I enter in the 2+ study, it's going to be the same price as a low floor 3 bedroom, okay? And then identifying that will help you understand that actually the entry price for the 3 bedroom is actually lower than coming in that's not so safe price for a 2+ study, okay? So a couple of examples over here is Springleaf Residences is only one 4-bedroom layout, which is a 1227 across 4 or 5 stacks. The size gap between the 3+ study and the 4-bed is about 200 square feet difference. So the 3+ study is 1023 square feet versus the 4-bedroom is at 1227 square feet. Okay, so this is a 3+ study, this is the 4. Next time when you go on Property Guru, you will see the difference. This is going to be selling at 3-bed, this is going to be selling at 4-bed, and the size that you see is about 200 square feet difference. So it's quite significant for people looking at Springleaf Residences as your future buyers. You will be just comparing the both, right, and understanding where the price point is as well. Okay, and then after closer to the end of the launch and the end of the balloting period, I also saw that the highest floor 3+ study is only 80k lesser than the cheapest 4-bedroom unit available at the same time. Okay, and that would make the per square foot difference in terms of the sizing at about 200 square feet difference at only 1,000 per square foot, which means that for additional 200 square feet of space, you're only paying 1,000 per square foot difference, and it makes it super worth it, right? Because on average, the pricing is already double of that price. And the second example, which I just shared with you, is that Ori's high floor 2 plus study prices overlaps with 3-bedroom at Ori on the 5th floor. Okay, so this is something to note especially when you're buying the high-rise developments, and there will be some high-rise developments coming up in the next couple of months. So something to take note and understand where you drop and cut off, and change a little bit of strategy when you're in the queue, because the prices are only transparent to you only on the balloting day. You may have a bit of time to react if your queue number is a little bit at the back, but if your queue number is at the front, you need to be very clear going into the queue what exactly to go for. Okay, so finally, here comes my recommendation. I think I do have 2 choices. One is Zion Grand, second one, which I'm not including the slide here, is Faber-Crest for its entry price. But Zion Grand, looking at the small gap between RCR and CCR region, for CCR selling at RCR pricing, I think it's a good opportunity to enter. And also understanding that CCR won't be cheap for long. Just looking at the other launches that are happening in the outskirts of the area that is going to be launching the same price as Zion Grand. So you coming in at Zion Grand, whether Promenade Peak at this kind of per square foot that is going to be the outskirts pricing just 1 year down from now, is going to be quite safe. I think Zion Grand has good trades as well. Like I mentioned just now, that is a good developer. Facilities will be not too bad. It's a bigger piece of land, more facilities maintenance to share around as well. There's a service apartment and a commercial component as well, and it's also direct MRT access to Havelock MRT, and you can also walk. I think will be fully sheltered to Great World City. CDL has good layouts. I don't think I will doubt that much about it. It should be quite efficient. It may not be as good as Guaco Land, but I think they have done quite well for the past few launches as well. And why I say CCR will not be cheap for long is because with the recent land bids that have already launched and already sold, they are going to have to price quite high for next year onwards. So next year we will see new benchmarks as well. So I think in terms of looking at these 5 choices, I think Zion Grand and Faber residences will be something to look out for. More importantly, understanding that actually this is a good time because one, developers are a bit wary because there's so many units out in the market. They want to be able to sell at competitive pricing. And 2, next year when all these Bayshore, Trump Park and Lakeside start to launch a later part of the year, I think they will really set new benchmarks and will make Zion Grand and Promenade Peak very cheap. So in that sense, I think this year will be a good year to look out. Where if you have an opportunity today and you want to be considering the few launches, you can also reach out to me. I can show you the place, and of course, I will be able to guide you a little bit on the pricing and what to enter, where to cut off, what's a good project to go for if you're considering the 5. Of course, understanding your objective is important before you enter into anything. Okay, so here's the end of my video. This is my contact number and my Instagram handle. You can also pause this video to scan the QR code and reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to guide you along. See you in the next one. Bye.